Does it work? Is it working?
Switch to iPad. I'm not hearing a difference.
Where is the...
Does it work? I'm hearing someone say... Oh, wait. It just switched over. I'm not hearing anything.
Is this on? Here. Let's turn that.
Y'all set? Ready to go? All right. Supervisors, please take their seats. Good evening, everyone. Happy New Year. I hereby call to order the January this evening. Supervisor Buckley is en route. With that, we'll move on to the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag by Vice Chairman Lund. Vice Chairman Lund.
Dear God, we ask for a blessing for all those who bravely work to keep the public safe in extreme weather conditions, from police officers, plow operators, emergency personnel, firefighters and paramedics, and tow truck operators. We ask a special blessing for the family and friends of Jesse Hetman, who was tragically killed in an accident on I-41 this past Friday. We also ask, as always, for blessings for the men and women of our armed forces, that they stay safe as they serve our country. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, opening roll. Supervisor Seaver, lead us off. Supervisor Seaver. Bear with me. Let's try it again. There we go. Supervisor Dwayne is en route. Supervisor Nicholson is well. Supervisor Hoyer, thank you. Supervisor Grzinski, representative as well, Grzinski, thank you. Supervisor LaFave. Supervisor Erickson. Supervisor Porter, thank you. Supervisor Evans. Thank you, Supervisor Vanderleest. Supervisor Landwehr, if you'd be so kind, thank you. Thank you, Supervisor Dantine. Supervisor Brusky. Supervisor Ballard, thank you. Supervisor Castor. Supervisor Linson. Supervisor Kneisel, thank you. Supervisor Delorier. Moynihan. Supervisor Shadwell, thank you. Vice Chairman Lund. And Supervisor Denies, thank you. Supervisors Dwayne and Supervisor Nicholson have just entered the room. If you want to hit your attend button. Thank you, Supervisor Dwayne. Supervisor Nicholson. Attend. Hit your attend. Thank you very much. Okay. One item with your indulgence this evening, request by Corp Counsel. With your approval, I'd like to strike 11G and H and bring this back in February. And if everyone's okay with that, I'll accept the motion to approve the agenda as amended by Supervisor Nicholson. Do I have a second? Supervisor Brusky. Corp Counsel, can you use your microphone, please?
Thank you. Yes, this I was able to negotiate with Brad Toll from the GGB CVB. Talked to our county administration, went before a couple of our committees, and also discussed this with various members that would approach me. What's missing is this has not gone to the GGB CVB executive committee yet, so they still need to get that agreement before their committee. That's because this developed so late. It was only at the executive committee this month that we or the admin committee that we raised the issue of actually drafting a contract so that others could see that before discussion is made. Because this has to go to their executive committee, I just rather we discuss this next month. Otherwise, you may have a lengthy discussion on it tonight, then it goes to their executive committee and everything may change. So I think it makes sense to hold that for 1 month. And I know GGB, CVB is in agreement that it makes sense to hold off on this until February.
Supervisor Evan?
So under that, and I mean, I can understand that. So you said you have negotiated. Are we going to get the terms of the negotiation? I mean, well beforehand, and is the county taking a lien position?
Proposed agreement, loan agreement and promissory note between Brown County. So that is the draft agreement as it now exists. That's what would have to go before their executive committee.
Resolutions G and the
Okay.
agreements H.
All right. So that's what's going to go to.
So that's the basis to hold this till the February board.
So you're
meeting.
not negotiating any more than what's on here already for right now. You're going to.
The most items you see in that agreement, they're either standard legal language or they're suggestions from either the administration committee or the executive committee.
Anything further, Supervisor Evans? That's the rationale behind the request.
All right. I guess we'll wait and see what happens in the next month. So when is their meeting? Okay. But it'll be by the next county board meeting.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank
We
you.
have a motion to amend the agenda before us. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? That passes unanimously. Next is comments from the public. If folks would like to step forward, please state your name and address for the record. Limit comments to 5 minutes. I will provide a 1-minute warning when the time comes, and it's the board's role to listen to public comments, not to ask questions, nor discuss or take action. I do have one request form, and that's from Brian Nice. Want to step forward, sir? Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Brian Neese. My address is 108 East National Avenue, Apartment 7 in Brillion, Wisconsin, 54110. I'm a Brown County employee. I work for Brown County Sheriff's Office. My job title is Corrections Officer. And I'm here today with permission from a county resident that can't make the meeting. His name is Chris Kajava. We'd like to address the board for a Wisconsin Employee Trust Fund retirement category change. His address is 2779 Moose Creek Trail in Swamico, District 25. Chris states, I'm writing you today to have protective status with Social Security be assigned to committee and be discussed for granting correctional officers of Brown County the new retirement category change. This status would save taxpayers money over time by reducing training costs. Since the loss of protected status in 2013, we have lost 20 plus officers per year. The cost of recruiting and training new officers is at high cost. Protective status was given to us in 2001, and 3 years worth of raises was given up to obtain this new category. It was also used as a recruiting tool and why I left state corrections to come here to work. With that being said, we have lost experienced and valuable correctional officers within the Sheriff's Office Jail Division since our protective status was removed. Probation, parole officers, state correctional officers, and police officers all have protective status, and we deal with the same offenders. There are approximately 700 plus inmates in Brown County that officers must deal with on a daily basis. These inmates here are for serious crimes, such as homicides that have been committed in our community. We have staff assaults, fights, deaths, and threats to officers. This topic has been brought up by many times to be changed at the state level through legislation action assisted by our former sheriff. It is time for our local elected officials to make the right choice and pass it on, as many surrounding counties have done so. This communication is approved by myself and other corrections officers that are present: Joe Sickle, Justin Proctor, and Ryan Pillard. Thank you for your consideration. Chris Kajaza.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the gallery would like to speak this evening? Anyone else? Anyone else would like to make comments? Seeing none, we will move on. With that, I'll accept a motion to approve the minutes of December 19th. Motion by Supervisor LaFave, seconded by Supervisor Castor. Any additions, deletions, notations? Seeing no lights are lit, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Next is announcements by supervisors. Any announcements? Supervisor Delorier.
Yes, after the exec committee meeting, I was asked to keep this body up to date on what's happening with the well contamination issue in the town of Holland. And I just want to take this opportunity to very briefly give you an update because it's going to PD&T at the end of the month, and I won't have another opportunity to talk about this particular one before then. There's two paths that this is going down: purely a public health path, which is going to Human Services Committee and Board of Health, and the second path it's going through is PD&T through my communication last month for compliance to Corp Council's guidance. At last night's Board of Health meeting, I just wanted to relay what motion was discussed and passed. The motion was motion to Human Services Committee to draft and enact a policy relative to incidents of contamination by any government agency or detection of contamination and exceedance of state statute, because we find the situation with port and resource recovery simply unacceptable. There was a number of comments made at that meeting that bolster that assertion, and I'm going to keep this extremely brief and just, I guess, finish by saying this was referred to the Board of Health by Human Services, and the notable absent person at this meeting was Director Hain or any port and resource recovery representative. And I'm appalled by that. And I think it is unfortunately, I think it's an accurate reflection of the care and concern that department through Director Hain has had on the families in my district. So the next stop is PD&T, and again, this is just because I was asked to keep you apprised, because this will likely loop back around for a vote at the county board level. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Delorier. Clear your lights, sir. Supervisor Borchert, under announcements.
So today was CAP Day for Counties Association program down in Madison. It was a great day. It was nice. The weather was not bad at all for walking. We met with all 11 of our state representatives between myself and Supervisor Rusky. The 4 asks were for child protective services and more money into child protective services. Secured residential care centers for children and youth, court-appointed attorneys' compensation rates, and then grants for public safety answering points. From what we were told with legislators and our new governor and the budgets that are coming out, there's a good chance that most of these will get fulfilled in our coming budget, most likely, especially with child protective services, because that's a need not just here locally in Brown County, but across our state. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, and Supervisor Brusky, for representing Brown County today. If you clear your light, please, ma'am. Supervisor LaFave, under announcements.
Yes, I just want to remind everybody what I had asked at the end of last year, well, a little bit before, when we went through our budget, that we have to be cognizant of the departments that need help, especially our health department, child protective services, and if we get more money from the state, that'll help too, and adult care. And also that all these committees, make sure that you have a good communication with all the departments that heads that come to your committee meetings. We have a good discussion and we get this taken care of before we come to budget time. Thank you.
Thank you. You clear your light. Thank you. Anyone else under announcements? Anyone else? Seeing no lights are lit, we'll move on to late communications. Any late communications by supervisors? First up, Supervisor Shadowald.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This late communication is to the Human Services Committee, the Administration Committee, and the Public Safety Committee. This late communication is my request for review of the program, services, and our county involvement for children birth to age 4 that are in need of assistance. Thank you.
Thank you. If you clear your light, sir. Supervisor Delorier.
This communication, I believe, will go to public safety first and then exec. So I'm just going to refer to public safety after talking with Corp Counsel, and then hopefully with the understanding they would refer to exec. Whereas Brown County Board of Supervisors has the legal authority to restore protective occupation participant status to Brown County corrections officers, and based on the criteria established in Wisconsin Statute 4002, 48A, the principal duties of Brown County corrections officers involve active law enforcement, requires frequent exposure to a high degree of danger or peril, and also requires a high degree of physical conditioning. And based on chronic correction officer understaffing that will potentially be made worse with the expansion of Brown County Jail, that it is important to the health, safety, and welfare of correction officers, our inmates, and the general public to provide stronger incentive package to attract and maintain corrections officers. And based on the costs of restoring protective status when compared to the cost of recruitment and new training, new correction officers, Brown County sees the financial value of restoring protective status. That the Brown County Board of Supervisors supports restoring and funding protective status with Social Security for Brown County corrections officers.
Public safety it is.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Clear light. Any other late communications from supervisors? Seeing no lights are lit, we'll move on. There are no appointments this evening. And we'll go to reports. Just a few things from my perspective. For those who may not know, in the board office, Alicia and her husband, Robert, welcomed a baby daughter on January 4th, Evie. So Alicia's going to be out a little bit, mothering some more. She's got almost a baseball team, I swear. But everything is A-okay in the Lowline home. We have fulfilled our hiring of our part-time individual in the board office, which comes at the right time with Alicia being out. And the gentleman's name is Caden Lasecki. If you want to give a wave, Caden, you'll be seeing him. He'll be at... Oh, well, very well. So Caden, you'll be seeing Caden at standing committee meetings. He just started this past Monday and has already taken on 3 subcommittee meetings. So we're keeping him busy right out of the get-go. So welcome, Caden. Congratulations to now Representative Grzinski. Congratulations. It's all official now. And for Supervisors Evans and Buckley, good luck in next month's primary because we'll be meeting the following night. So, and maybe you won't be here, maybe you will. I know the clerk is like, well, you don't even have to get involved being a city, do you? Kind of, sort of. Well, at least it's not like the general. So, good luck to the both of you. And then lastly, the old tally board, the nuisance that is the Brown County Taxpayers Association lawsuit. Our tally as of today, costing Brown County taxpayers because of this suit, has totaled now $186,226.67. So thank you, BCTA. With that, we have the executive report. Mr. Executive.
Good evening, everyone. I'll try to keep my comments brief this evening. Coming up in the next few weeks, we'll be going down to Madison for the WCA's legislative days. There we'll be discussing and seeing how this new administration, along with the legislature, are going to operate within the next 2 years, the next 4 years, and what should we be expecting from a county's perspective of what type of work is going to actually be completed. Will it operate as a divided government, or will it operate in compromise? So we're hoping that as that debate, kind of carries forward, that us as representatives of our communities can convince the legislature, along with the governor's office, to find ways to find compromise, to address issues that we all know don't necessarily carry a red or blue color. That it's issues such as what you heard that Joan and Megan went down to advocate for us in the Child Protective Services. We just in the last 5 years invested over almost $4 million in Child Protective Services, and the amount that the state has provided to the county, it was in comparison very small. So we've had almost a sizable increase in that area. The number of report-ins is increasingly gone up, and it's something that the state, obviously mandates of the state or the county to perform. So I think, when we tackle these type of issues, that we really have to advocate to both parties to find compromise to address some of these more serious issues that are happening in our communities. But more importantly, as we learn from Child Protective Services area and Human Services, that some of these children, unfortunately, as they go forward in life, they have that trauma, and they're not able to fully rectify the situation or the things that they saw, and ultimately it ends up in our public safety area or in our judicial system. And so from that standpoint, if we can figure out ways to give these children a better chance and a better opportunity, I think our community will be much stronger. And right now, statewide, if you guys haven't, you should read your Counties Association publication that just came out. It does a pretty good examination of how serious this issue is in terms of the state. This is not just a Brown County issue or the large counties. This is actually a statewide problem where every county is experiencing an uptick. A lot of it's being driven by the opiate epidemic that's taking place here, not only in Brown County, but throughout the nation. So hopefully down there we're going to learn more about this. County board supervisors are, of course, invited to that legislative exchange. If you have time and you're interested in attending, reach out to the county board office, reach out to our office, and we'll make sure that you get coordinated. We will be making visits to some of our reps to kind of explain to them not only county's issues, but also what Brown County has. So we go down there from a statewide perspective with some of the legislation that the Counties Association has passed, and then we also go and advocate for things that are specific to Brown County. We're hoping that we will have 2 meetings separate of that. One to talk about looking at the basin of our watershed, so everything from Fond du Lac north to Brown County. So I have arranged a meeting with the Fond du Lac County Executive, Winnebago, Outagamie, Calumet Administrator, and Oneida Nation to have a discussion about creating a water pact, and we'll see what comes from that. But the ultimate goal is that we are finding and sharing resources, ideas, best practices in terms of what's happening at the local levels to address water quality overall. I think down there they've created the Winnebago Waterways, which is made up of Fond du Lac, Winnebago, and Calumet counties. Up here, we have the partnership with the Lower Fox demonstration, and that's made up of Brown County, Outagamie, and the Oneida Nation. So we're trying to bring those two together. As you guys probably saw in WBAY, Speaker Voss made an announcement that they're going to be creating a task force for water quality for specifically the southeast part of Wisconsin. And as you know, up here in northeast Wisconsin, we have southwest. Thanks, Megan. Southwest, we know up here in northeast Wisconsin that we have water quality issues, not only in Brown County, but also in Kewaunee County and Door County. So for our perspective and the purpose behind the pact was really to say to the state that here are a number of counties that are coming together and we've unified in our approach, and here are what we're doing for best practices. Please state, take a notice of what we're doing up here and making sure that the resources, because we receive quite a bit of funding through the federal government that helps us with a lot of the projects that we're doing right here. So we just got to make sure that we continue that effort. But more important, we want to leverage that down in Madison in February as far as a partnership. The other meeting that we'll be having down there next week, or not next week, in February, is to talk about the Southern Bridge. I think right now we're in a pretty good position in terms of addressing the long-term funding issue of it, but again, a lot of pieces have to come into play. It's going to require at the right point where we as a community advocate not only to Brown County, but also to the municipalities that are impacted by this. And then, of course, we have to work with the federal government and the state government. There's a window of opportunity for us to really tackle this issue, and so we're meeting down there to kind of have a conversation about what pieces need to come into play for us to make this happen. Right now, for purposes of understanding of where we are with the Southern Bridge, it is past a hurdle that I think we've been trying to get past for 30 years. Maybe not 30 years, but certainly 20 years. And we've finally gotten past the review of the Wisconsin DOT. And that's been hanging in there forever. But we've been able to get past that. And as we've reported before, Secretary Ross, when we met with them, the chamber, Mayor Walsh, myself, a number of other individuals met with Secretary Walsh, and our request of him was just get us out of the hamster wheel of this review process that we've been stuck in. Get the Wisconsin DOT to review this and forward it on to the Federal Highway Administration. And so the good thing is it's there. Now what we need to do is keep the pressure on keeping that review on top of the pile, not on the bottom. Because you can imagine there's 3,000 plus counties in the United States that all have similar economic infrastructural needs that they are saying to their congressional leadership that they would like to have on top of the pile. So we just got to figure out how to make ours on top. And that's going to come from us as a community standing together, working together to move agendas and move initiatives forward. So we have a busy month coming up. There's going to be some exciting news being announced here in the very near future. I think all of us will be very proud of. But more importantly, as you guys all have heard, who've been here for a long time, our budget process is beginning. It's already actually started. And I would just encourage you, as I've stated in the past, if there's certain things that you want to make sure that we're taking into account as far as the budget process, this is the time for us to really start to hammer on those, because by time July comes around, or even sooner than that, we've really we're pretty close to being done with the major initiatives. Now it's just a matter of how do certain numbers come in from the state. So I would just encourage you to reach out to myself or Jeff, and let's have those meetings. Other than that, have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Moving on to the standing committee reports. The first is the report of the Administration Committee of January 2nd. Motion to approve by Supervisor Nicholson. Do I have a second? Second by Supervisor Shadwell. Anything pulled separately out of the report? Anything separately? Seeing no lights are lit, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Next is the report of Education and Recreation Committee of December 13th. Motion to approve by Supervisor LaFave, seconded by Supervisor Van Dyke. Was that? No? Supervisor Nicholson. Anything pulled separately out of the report? Supervisor Van Dyke? Number 14. Anyone else? Anyone else? Seeing no lights are lit, all those in favor of the remainder of the report signify by saying aye. Opposed? That passes unanimously. Number 14, Supervisor Van Dyke.
Just want to make a motion to approve the master plan. I just feel like items such as these should be standalone and not buried in a report for approval. So that's the only reason I pulled it, but I make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve, seconded by Supervisor Landwehr. Under discussion? Under discussion, seeing no lights are lit, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Next is the report of the Executive Committee of January 7th. Motion to approve by Vice Chairman Lund. Do I have a second? Second by Supervisor Seaver. Anything pulled separately out of the report? Anything separately? Seeing no lights are lit, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Next is the report of the Public Safety Committee of January 2nd. Motion to approve by Supervisor Nicholson, second by Supervisor Borchert. Under discussion. Anything pulled separately? Seeing no lights are lit, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Next, we move on to the resolutions and ordinances. First is 11A, a resolution approving budget adjustments to various department budgets. Motion to approve by Supervisor Shadwell, second by Supervisor Landwehr. Under discussion. Under discussion. Seeing no lights are lit, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Next, 11B, amended resolution to create a citizen redistricting advisory subcommittee to report to the Brown County Executive Committee. Motion of the committee was to approve. Motion to approve by Supervisor Seaver, seconded by Supervisor Grzinski. Under discussion, Supervisor Linson.
Just a question. I was reviewing this and I noticed that the
Can you speak
Sorry.
into the, thank you.
I was reviewing this and I just noticed that the date at the top of the second page, so that people have to submit a nomination before December 1st.
There. Aaron, yep.
Oh, this was just the modification? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay. I thought it was weird that this was coming.
Not a problem.
Okay.
Not a problem. Thank you. Clear your lights, sir. Supervisor Landwehr.
Thank you, Chairman Moynihan. Quick question or such on this. I understand that we didn't have any academic advisors from either of the schools that were interested in being on it. So I understand that the terminology's been changed to just say an academic or a retired academic.
Yes, we have a retired academic.
I'm sorry, you have somebody already that you're at a college level and something related to this? Okay. Because I was just, I didn't want to see this turned into where we just needed any school teacher of any level. Because at that point, I would just say, let's just have another member from the public.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
You clear your light, please? If you clear your light, please, sir. Supervisor Nicholson, under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can you inform me or tell me how this list of individuals were selected?
Well, we haven't taken up the appointments yet. That'll be next month.
That'll be next month.
Yeah.
So the list of names right now are premature?
Well, they're people that have submitted.
Oh, okay, okay. These individuals submitted. Okay.
Yep.
So, yeah. What was that, Tom? How many are going to be on this committee, Tom?
There'll be 5 members.
It's right here in your
There'll be
resolution.
1 academic.
I can barely see with these glasses.
3 county supervisors.
3 county supervisors and, I'm sorry, what was that again?
Okay, 5 members. General.
Five citizen members, 1 academic, and 3 county supervisors.
Okay. When you say academic, is that the same issue that Mr. Landwehr was talking about?
Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Clear your light, sir. Anyone else under discussion? Anyone else? Seeing no lights are lit, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Next is a resolution to notify state officials the results of referenda questions regarding dark stores and medical marijuana. Motion to approve by Supervisor Erickson, seconded by Supervisor Hoyer. Under discussion. Under discussion. Supervisor Hoyer.
Thank you. I just wanted to take a moment to thank some enterprising individuals who actually took these results, particularly from the marijuana referendum, and looked at them across the entire county. Obviously, across the county, we had 75.6% approval or in favor of medical marijuana. But they actually looked across each of the different districts and found that that was relatively consistent. The lowest district having 72%, the highest having 78%. So I just wanted to identify that there is full support across the community for this, at least amongst those voters, and certainly would like those that voted against the opportunity for those to express themselves to ponder that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Clear your light. Anyone else under discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? That passes unanimously. Next is 11D, a resolution authority to execute 2019 labor agreement with Brown County Electricians Bargaining Unit.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to
Amend?
it. And in the second, now there, in the second paragraph, now therefore be it resolved, where it says under county with bargaining unit for the year 2019 to be effective January 1st, 2019, as described in Articles 1 and 2, like that language in Articles 1 and 2 be stricken, and
So to read and as described below.
below. Yes.
Okay. I have a motion. Do I have a second to amend? Seconded by Supervisor Nicholson. Under further discussion. Supervisor Sieber?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. IBEW 158 made a generous contribution to my assembly campaign, so I will be abstaining from the votes tonight. Thank you.
Roger that. Anyone else? All those in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. Motion to approve as amended. Seconded by Supervisor Ballard. Under discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes with one abstention. One abstention. Thank you. Next, 11E, ordinance to amend Brown County Code Section 2.14 regarding parliamentary procedure. Only allow one motion amendment to be considered at a time. And I have a motion to approve by Supervisor Sieber, seconded by Supervisor Dwayne. Under discussion. Under discussion. Seeing no lights are lit. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. F, ordinance to amend Brown County Code Section 2.05 regarding creating sub and ad hoc committees. And we have motions to approve as amended and before us. I'll accept the motion at this time. Anyone? Anyone? Motion to approve by Vice Chairman Lund. Do I have a second? Second by Supervisor Buckley. Under discussion, Supervisor Dantine.
I just had a question. There was a couple of them. There's land conservation is actually a subcommittee. So, and we have a division that actually have levies, and you're going to treat land conservation same as like a subcommittee for doing various things that we want done for certain subjects. I mean, land conservation is actually a committee that reports to PD&T, I believe, and so every 2 years, does PD&T have to reappoint land conservation and start over and do our own minutes? It is a subcommittee, so I'm just wondering if we're treated the same way as that subcommittee that you just created to.
Well, that subcommittee, that's by statute. We have to have that as well.
Right,
so
that
Corporation Council, is there a nuance to that particular standing committee? I don't know if you can address it this time or send it back.
Yeah, the current language before you, as Supervisor Dantine correctly indicates, would require all ad hoc and subcommittees to renew in May of even numbered years.
Let's make a motion, refer this back to executive committee to change the language and put. Yeah, there might be more.
I have a motion to refer back to the executive committee by Vice Chairman Lund, seconded by Supervisor Dwayne. Under discussion on referral. Supervisor Dantine, do you want to continue on referral to refer this
No,
back?
that's fine. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Clear your light, please. Supervisor Erickson?
Yeah, quick comment on this, and I agree with Norb wholeheartedly. This committee consists of everybody that's on the PD&T committee, except for one citizen appointee from the rural farm area. And That's the only reason it picks up the title subcommittee. Otherwise, it would be PD&T / land conservation, and we wouldn't even be having this discussion. But that's how that falls in. So it's a little bit different than subcommittees where maybe 90% of them are consist of you know, civilians, so to speak, or just regular citizens. So, thank you.
Thank you. Clear your light, sir. Supervisor Van Dyke.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I mean, versus referring this back again, can we not just make a simple modification to what's in front of us to maybe state excluding subcommittees that are required to be formed by state statute or something along that line? Can we not make that adjustment?
Not to speak for
council?
not to speak for the vice chair, but I think this gives opportunity to look at all the subcommittees again. If the,
These are one exceptions as well, I think, is the
We want to
thought.
make sure that it reads correctly. You still have the floor, Supervisor Van Dyke, if you like. If you clear your light, please, sir. Next up, Supervisor Shadowell.
Well, Mr. Chairman, what I don't want to do is refer it back and then you get a flood of everybody wants an exception because I don't want to deal with an ordinance. How many subcommittees are enacted by state law? One? Well, if there's one
that I know of,
that we know of, but we could write a sentence that says this language is, the Corporation Council could write this, this language does not apply to any subcommittee in, there, he knows the right. And he said, I'm just an high school teacher, I don't know.
Oh,
nice. We're just but, right, from Bayport.
Supervisor Shadowell still has the
But my
floor.
point is that if you want to send it back, it's fine. But my point is, I think that the slippery slope of saying you're sending it back because other committees can ask for it is not something I'm in favor of, and I'm voicing that tonight. The understanding that you could just write one sentence, which I hope the Corporation Council is grafting as I'm talking now, I'll filibuster for them for a minute, okay, would be that would then be our case. If something came up, we could always vote on that next month versus this endless cycle of sending it back and forth and back and forth. So I'm going to vote against referral with the hope that the Corporation Council could tell me now what language we could put in place. Could the Corporation Council do so?
What I would suggest is the highlighted sentence in your packet that starts with appointment to subcommittees. If we could add on to the start of that sentence so that it would read, with the exception of statutorily required sub or ad hoc committees, comma, appointment to subcommittees and the selection of non-supervisory. Oh, I'm sorry. No, that's not the right spot. So that language.
Yeah, can we just refer it and then get it directly done? Well, let's see how the referral goes. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I get it. Thank you. If you clear your light, sir. Next up, Supervisor Castor.
I guess I want to piggyback on what some of the other what Supervisor Erickson and Dan Teen have said. This is a little bit different subcommittee. They meet in succession with PD&T. Sometimes the meeting lasts 20 minutes, a half an hour. Sometimes it's 10 minutes. I mean, but they go right after, as far as taking minutes and things. They meet right after each other. I don't know if any of the other subcommittees are that way. I think a lot of them, from what I can tell, meet separately, and they're a whole different meeting. This is right in succession. This is right almost with PD&T.
Yep.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Clear your light, sir. Next up, Supervisor Denine.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was probably the one that brought this particular review portion during admin to Corporation Council. And my intention by getting this language placed here is that once every 2 years, the standing committee gets the opportunity to look at who is sitting on that committee and what is the functionality of that committee. My concern with adding just blanket language is that then that could be bypassed, that procedure. I think it's important that we're looking at these subcommittees and these ad hoc committees every other year. So whatever change you're going to be referring back for, whatever we decide here tonight, I'm not going to support it unless it gives that standing committee that authority to review every ad hoc and subcommittee every 2 years. Thank you.
Very good.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Clear your light, please. Supervisor Evans on referral.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I agree with what Supervisor Van Dyke and Shadowwald said. I can't believe we can't add simple language because there is certainly state statutes that define what we have, what we don't have. I mean, and a lot of those are privileged to be on, and they have terms, like Criminal Justice Coordinating Board, Board of Health, Human Services Board, and I don't know if those, we can ask the attorney, those aren't going to fall underneath those, okay? And that's kind of where I'm going with my point here. Because then for example, then you have like the Mental Health Task Force that was created, a while ago, but they almost, they have the direction or been given the directive to spend like $1 million or $2 million. So, and make those decisions and then bring it back. So I don't know. I think it's pretty simple to add some real language in there, and you probably have it already. I mean, I can understand what Supervisor Denies and Lund are saying, but I mean, I think it's pretty clear on what is state statute and what is not. Put that in there. I think you move forward.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Clear your light, please. Supervisor Denies, can you clear your light as well, please? Next up, Supervisor Dantine.
Just a quick comment. I mean, I could support either one of these, putting it in now or else setting it back. But I think this is the only subcommittee that actually has a department that actually has a budget that's not a tax levy. I don't think there's no other subcommittees in the county, I don't believe, that are formed with a budget, with a tax that goes to taxpayers for land conservation, for farming. So I mean, it's kind of treated like a committee with a sub paragraph to it. So you got an option to actually make it a committee, like all the rest of them, or else put some language in there that it's not reviewed every year because it's the same 5 people sitting on a board that are county supervisors. So, thank you.
Very good. Thank you, sir. If you clear your light, please. Anyone else on referral? All those in favor of referral signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Use the board. Supervisor Van Dyke, if you can confirm, please.
Just doesn't know if he wants to.
And referral passes.
See, if you would have went, the names were a lot louder. So if you would have went by that.
Moving on, would be the resolution authorizing the standing committee to create sub and ad hoc committee. That's more of a template, if you will. So would you suggest referral or just receive and place on file, Corp Counsel?
On file, that's basically
Motion by Supervisor Dwayne to receive and place on file, seconded by Supervisor Nicholson. Under discussion on this item, no lights are lit. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. We are now under such other matters as authorized by law. Any late communications this evening by supervisors? Any late communications? Seeing no lights are lit, we'll move on to bills over $5,000 for the period ending December 31st, 2018. Motion to approve by Supervisor Hoyer, seconded by Supervisor Ballard. Under discussion. Seeing no lights are lit, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We have a closing roll call. I'll accept a motion to adjourn at this time. I have a motion to approve by Supervisor Erickson, seconded by Supervisor Dantine. All those in favor of adjournment at this time signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned.